Hey folks, welcome to Texas Bluesman Barbecue. Here is the controller video. I'm going to get right into it because this is such a laboriously exhaustive video about every little thing about the controller. If there's anything you ever wanted to know about it, it's in this video. If it's not, let me know. I'll reply any way I can, but I've indexed it so that you can come back to it or you can skip sections or whatever. So feel free to index it, and if you see a super thanks down at the bottom of this video, if you want to throw a couple bucks my way, that would be great, because this took a lot of time and a lot of effort to put all this together, and a lot of editing because I'm not very good at this. So anyway, I hope you enjoy it. I hope this is useful. I've split it up. There'll be another video somewhere here that has to do with the app and the website. I'm going to make a video about the spark, and I'm going to make a short video about the probes and the different probes you can get for the Fireboard controller. I hope you enjoy this, and this will be in a playlist, all that kind of good stuff. Here we go. Okay, so here we are at the controller on the lonestargrillz pellet smoker, and I just want to start off by saying that Fireboard nor lonestargrillz leaves you high and dry with this. They give you this Fireboard pellet controller quick start guide that is quite extensive. It's very good. It tells you about all the things about the controller, even the app, how to set alerts, all of the things, a step-by-step of how to set up the wireless network. Everything else is included right here, even a little section on how to take off the controller. So I know that there were some people that were kind of curious about that, so I'm going to start off with that. There's two screws, one on both sides, and I've got my trusty nut driver here with a screwdriver attachment on it. I want to take off one screw, then I'm going to take the driver out of that and go over here to the other side, trying to reach around the camera best I can, and take the screw out of this side over here. If you can see that, probably covering it up with my fingers. I don't want to drop that, so it's very tiny. So there are two screws are out, and this plate here is magnetic. It sticks to the controller. You can see that there's a little bit of dirt on there, and you can see the knob and the push switch and the auxiliary cable that goes into, ta-da, the Fireboard 2. Here's the controller. Now, as I have it out, I want to show you, here's the USB-C connection, your 6 probe ports right here in the bottom. There's your 3 buttons that you're going to use sparingly when using the controller. I'm going to go over those. The top is nothing but just a little bit of dust. And then on this side, you can see the auxiliary port here. On the Fireboard 2 drive, if you were going to use this with your Kamado or something like that, then there would be a drive port on the side here too. But you see that we just have auxiliary port because this is the Fireboard 2, all right? Now, you can take this out. You can use it with your probes and everything else, just, willy-nilly on, any cook that you want. You can use it in the kitchen if you want, stuff like that. Take it in, take it out, it doesn't matter. But I generally just leave mine in a smoker. Yes. Place it back where it goes. And then that's, once again, is magnetic. And I'm going to put the screws back on. All right. So there's how to take it out and put it back in. Now, to get started with this thing, you just hit the button right there, and it comes on, lights up. You can see there's a light over here, there's a light over here. This light means power's on. This light basically means that it's doing something. Here's your control knob. It says press knob to ignite, or then turn knob. Some more options. Well, if you turn to the left, it goes to cold smoke. If you turn to the right, it goes to ignite the fire. That's all there is with the knob. Now, the knob also presses, and you can press the knob to start it. You can press any one of the buttons on the side to start it, or when you first turn it on, you might want to go ahead and set it up on your Wi-Fi. All that is in this control video here, but you can see that here's the battery meter. My battery's fully charged. The auxiliary is lit up. That means that it's plugged into auxiliary power, that it's not on battery power. You can see that the Wi-Fi signal is on, and if my phone was near, the Bluetooth signal would be lit up too. This is the auger symbol here, and that would be the auger speed that's right below that, which is 0 now because it's still off. All right, so there's a few settings that we can get to in here. If you press any one of these buttons, it's going to start. So, but if you hold one for 2 seconds, then it'll bring up the menu. So 1000, 1000, there's the menu. I can power it off, I can go to settings, or I can control my pellets. Now I can prime or more. What prime means is the auger is from here to over here, just right to the left of my screen here. It's not very long, but if that auger is empty, if you ran it out of pellets, if you want to clean it out and then start with new flavor pellets or something like that, then you can go ahead and hit prime, and it will prime the auger and roll on through. If I go back to pellet, there's more, pellet mode, pellet channel, and pellet settings. So let's look at pellet mode. Pellet mode is set to off right now, and you can't change that while it is off. The pellet channel is set to pit, so there is a probe that is part of the pellet smoker system here that is permanently plugged into the back of the pit, and so you can actually change which probe measures your pellet temperature to where the controller will run off of any probe that you set. So there's an ambient probe that I'm going to show you in a little bit that you can change to if you want to set an ambient probe on the other side of the grate and run that for your auger and your pellet control. You can do that. You saw me cycle through. It can go to any one you want. And then pellet settings. Now, it's going to stay on this screen for a minute. Now, I want you to take a look. The lid detection is off and the minutes is set to 7. So I'll show you this on the app in a little bit, but when you open the lid and it loses temperature, then all of a sudden, all the pellet controller knows is that you're losing temperature and it needs to feed more pellets. So the auger speed will increase, so that is dumping more pellets so that can keep a constant temperature. So this lid detection, what that does is a smart detection. If you open the lid and it drops quickly, like several degrees, then it will pause the auger for 7 minutes so that it won't overfeed the pellets and then increase the temperature too much. You can of course go switch to that. You see how it rolled just from the lid detection to the minutes, and you can change those minutes to be pretty much what you want. You can see I'm headed up to over 20 minutes now, and I can go down to 1. So if you want to use the lid detection, you can set it for whatever you want, and then just touch the control again to set it. Priming seconds, ignition minutes, these two things do not change, okay? These were set between Fireboard and lonestargrillz to make sure that your lonestargrillz pellet smoker is successful in lighting each and every time. If you change these and start messing around with them, then you could wreak havoc on your smoker. You can end up wasting pellets. You can end up doing a whole bunch of things. So leave those alone. 90 seconds for priming. That just means that 90 seconds it's going to pour pellets into the fire pit before it starts the ignition. And then for 20 minutes, it's going to run the igniter. And it's going to just make sure that your pellets are running. That's it. Set point confirm. This is set to off by default. All that means is like when you're setting the set point for temperature on the thing, if you want to have to press the button to confirm the new set point, or if you just want to turn it and it goes to a new temperature and then it just automatically starts on that temperature. That's all that means. The pit probe offset. Now you can read in the instructions on the lonestargrillz site or also on the Fireboard site about the pit probe offset. If you find that the temperature of your pit is consistently different than the temperature reading from the pit probe, probe number 7, that's in the back, then you can offset this here to where you can get a more accurate reading. I wouldn't mess with that until I have seen problems over and over again. You can go to cancel save. I'm just going to cancel because if I happen to have changed anything, I don't want to do anything about it. Yes, the pit probe is reading 102 degrees right now at 8 o'clock p.m. in Texas in June. So anyway, back to the menu. That was the pellet settings. If I go to regular settings and go to info, now you're going to see the battery charge level. The USB is disconnected. The Wi-Fi is connected. The Bluetooth is disconnected. The Fireboard cloud is connected. And we're on version 3.2.13 of firmware for this pit. And the board temperature, that's actually a temperature probe for the Fireboard 2 board, is 88 degrees. The auxiliary port, pellet V1. This is just information. Your serial number is up here so that you can match that up when you're joining your Fireboard to your app. Then you can also see here that the version is 3.2.13. Now, when you first purchase your lonestargrillz pellet smoker, your Fireboard is going to be at version 1.0.0. I mentioned this in the 5 things video that it has to update to the latest firmware, and it'll do that on its own as it is resting and not in use. And then there's going to be no writing on this. The 2 lights here will be lit up and going on and off, and the thing will go dark and light, dark and light. I thought that I had screwed up my Fireboard to begin with. I wished it said something on there on the screen about, hey, I'm updating. It'll take me, another 2 hours, or it's going to be another 30 minutes or whatever it is. I've given that feedback to Fireboard. I don't even know if they've done it yet, but it has to go from version 1 to version 3. So just know that when it updates, it's going to take a little time. Will the Fireboard work without ever connecting to Bluetooth, without ever connecting to the cloud, without ever connecting to Wi-Fi? Yes, yes it will. You can just bring your pit home, never connect anything to it, just crank it off and run it, and there's no penalty for that. It'll just run. All right. So one more time, we'll go into settings, system settings. You can change it from degrees to Celsius if you want. Screen contrast, you can turn that up and down. As you see, I like it a little bit darker. I look at it from an angle. 15 is good. And then a factory reset, that'll reset it back to firmware version 1. and everything else. So if you happen to go into settings or something and screw something up, you can factory reset it and then start from scratch and redo everything. Now, as far as initially setting up your Wi-Fi settings and all that other kind of stuff, Bluetooth is on by default. So when you get your phone near, it will find your phone. You'll need to go in onto your web browser and to fireboard.com, set up your Fireboard account, and then set up your app on your phone, be it iOS or Android. There's both apps. There's a great FAQ section on the website about joining your Fireboard to the Wi-Fi or using the Bluetooth, whichever one you choose to do. I'll go over that in the app settings later. But for now, what do I want to do? I'm going to go in here and I'm going to prime this. So I'm going to go into Pellet. I'm going to go to Prime. I'm going to clean out all the old pellets out so that I can use my new mixture of pellets and wood chips. And I'll dump those out and then we'll get started. So you can see now that the auger is running and it's on PR for Prime. Okay, you can see how the auger is completely clean down there. There's no pellets in it. I want to try to show you. And here is completely empty in there. Nothing in the auger. Nothing in there. Okay, so there's the hopper. It's almost completely full, just about a couple inches short. And back again down to the auger, it's still empty. So let's go to our controller. I'm going to hit the side button. I'm going to hit Prime. And we're going to let some pellets prime into the auger here. Some pellets and wood chips. All right, so you can see it's through priming and there are chips and pellets ready to go in, and there's already some in there. So it's about to come a huge storm here, and there's or tornado possibility. So unfortunately, I'm going to stop here, get all my camera gear in the house, and cover up my grill, and get up early in the morning and start these things to cooking. All right, now I've just turned it on, and I thought I had the video recording, but I didn't. So you can see the pellets and the wood chips falling into the fire pit there. I simply pushed the button and it started. I could have pushed one of these buttons on the side just once and it would have started. You see the auger is running. You can see that the igniter is running, the fan 1 and fan 2. There is no fan 2, but it's always lights up anyway. So you can see the battery is fully charged, that it's on auxiliary power. The Wi-Fi is connected. You can see my set point here is 225. My auger is running at 100%. Just want to show the Fireboard running here. You can tell that I have a probe in slot number 1 and a probe in slot number 3 from looking at this all up here, and you can see that fan 1 and fan 2, once again there's only one fan, but they're both running. So, and you can see the auger speed, that the set point is at 275, and it's a little bit high, so that's the down arrow on the top. And the auger speed is at 36% right now. So anyway, you can see how I have 2 probes plugged in here, but if you see the set point is 275, the pit's right at 277, and if we go and look at the tilt-true on the pit, it's right at 275, 276. So the temperature has remained constant. When I show you the app, I think that you're going to be pleased as I am at how the pit is running the pellets and the chips. So I'm one man. You can see how many chips and pellets that I've used. It's not a whole lot. It's no more than normal, and probably no less. Oh man, now look at that. Now you can see where the tell-true went down to, and you can see as I had the lid open, it went down to 239. Still set at 275. We're going to talk about lid detection here in a little bit. While it's running, you can notice that every time the auger turns on, the auger indicator comes on, the fan's running. You can see there's an arrow on this side that says that the temperature is a little too high, so it's bringing it down back to 275, which is the set point. Then the auger is running at 38% right now. You can see that Bluetooth is engaged. You can see that it is connected to the Wi-Fi. It's on auxiliary power, but the battery is fully charged. On this screen, which is, I call it the number one screen, the main screen, you can see all 6 probe ports down here and what their temperatures are. You can tell what mode that the controller is in, what your set point is, and the temperature of your pit probe, which by default is probe number 7. That's a permanent attached probe to the controller and sits in the back of the pit. Let's talk about, this switch is on and off. If I was to turn that off now, which I'll show you later, it actually goes to a cool down mode and turns off the auger, leaves the fan running until cool down mode's over. This knob, of course, changes the set point. I think I showed you before how you can actually turn it and once you get to the temperature you want, it'll make you confirm the new set point. That's an option that you can go through if you want to. Otherwise than that, if I just push the button now, it's going to cycle through the screens. All right, now that's the same activity as if I used the top button here on the side. So you can see all the screens. All right, there's all 5 of them. So what are they? And I'm going to show you just here, so I can hit this top button over here, and you can see that it goes through all 5 of the same screens. What are the screens? Like I said, this is the main screen. Second screen is a single channel view with a graph. All right. Now, I don't have anything plugged into channel 6, so you don't see anything, but here's channel 7. You can see the graph, and you can see the history of it, and it goes to 1 hour. If you see down here in the corner, it says 1H. Can I change that? Yes. If I hit the bottom button, that will scroll through options on each screen for information. Now it's gone to 12 hours, and there it goes, mapping it right now. So the pit temperature for 12 hours, there you have it. Now it's gone to 1 minute, so it's going to show me 1 minute of history. Get a really exact temperature. Hit it again, it's going to 30 minutes. Now it's going to figure out and come up and show me 30 minutes of history for the temperature. And then back to 1 hour. So that's kind of what the 3 buttons do over here. The top button changes the screen. The middle button changes options within the screen. So if I wanted to go to a different probe, I'd hit the middle button here. Now on probe 1, it's labeled port butt. It's at 106 degrees, and there it is, 1 hour. If I wanted to change that to 12 hours, I could hit the bottom button and change the scope of the map to right there. This is 12 hours of time across the whole thing. You can see that it's only been going for a little while, about 3 hours, so there it is. Now 1 minute. This is not going to be very interesting. Just as temperature fluctuates over the course of 1 minute on its readings. But you can see it moving. So back to 30 minutes. If I go to number 2, that's an old label I gave it called brisket. It stays there until you change it. Channel 3, it just says channel 3. I'm going to show you on the app here in a little bit how you can rename these channels and everything. You cannot do that through the Fireboard controller itself. You can only rename the channels and the cook session and all that through the app. All right. Once again, there's 30 minutes worth of time. There's an hour worth of time. I'll wait for the graph to come up and let you see it. There's an hour's worth of time. Now, like I said, if I pushed on the big knob, that changes the screen, but if I rotate the big knob back and forth, you know, that's the equivalent of the middle button on the side, changing the channels. And then the only way I can change the scope of this is with the bottom button. So let's go to the next screen. I'll use the big button this time. Now we go to a graph with all of the temperatures up across the top, and I can rotate the button here and you can see I'm changing which probe that is being displayed. There's channel 7, you can see that, and then I also can change the time here, cycling through. The neighbor's mowing the yard, Fred's at the back door barking, and everything's just going nuts around here. Anyway, 12 hours, number 7, there you go. If you like this view, you can use it as you wish. All right, the next screen is a graph, tells you all the channels. You notice that channel 4 has no label at all. It was deleted. This one still says brisket. This one says pork butt. Hey, I used it before. And this one still says channel 3. Now, if we go on here, this will highlight the different channels, but it doesn't do anything. The bottom button just lets the labels go on and off, and that's that screen. And so then I come back to single screen. Channel 5 has nothing. You can rotate it back to channel 1, and it's just a big digital display of the channel temperature. So anyway, then we return back to the regular screen. Let's walk through the settings real quick on this, because once again, if I hold any of these buttons down for 2 seconds, I'm going to come up with a menu. So there's a power off, there's a settings, and then there's the pellet control. So 1, 2, let's go to settings. I have info screen again, which I've already showed you, the system settings, screen contrast, degree type, factory reset. Those are the same whether the pit's on or off. But if I go to pellet settings, and you notice that there's a reignite there, I can turn on the igniter or go to more. Now pellet mode is an auto. This is where I can change it to manual. Pellet channel, this is the temperature that I'm reading. Of course, that's can be either the nut channel 7 or any other channel that I choose. Let's get in here again, pellet, more, and pellet settings. They're the same. We already went through all of these already. Notice this cycles through. I'm just gonna go ahead and rotate the button and go to cancel. Oops, didn't mean to do that. And folks, that's every option on the actual pellet controller. Yeah, it's done now. If we go over here and take a look, I just turned off the button, so we're in cool down mode, and the probe is reading 203.9. Okay, here's a quick wrap up to this controller video. This video was about the controller and the controller alone. There's going to be another video that's going to be posted here about the app and about the websites that I'm going to go over. There's going to be another video about the spark. There's going to be another video about the probes. I hope this was helpful. Come back to it as often as you want. If there's anything that I left out, please let me know. And I think that you can tell from the video, if you watch the whole thing, or most of it anyway, that there's nothing else like this on the market. It's a wonderful controller, and it pairs perfectly with the Lone Star Grillz pellet smoker. So, on to the next video.